Tom Scavetta of Review and Preview here with Long Island football star and future Notre Dame long snapper Rino Monteforte. Rino, thanks for taking the time today.
Hey, man, no problem. Excited to chat today.
Absolutely. I know you have recently committed to Notre Dame, and we're going to talk about you and your path to college football. But, folks, before we get into that, I want to quickly shout out our social media accounts. Make sure to go follow us below on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at Review and Preview Sports. This video will exclusively be up on YouTube. So really appreciate Rino for joining us here today, and we'll plug that banner for you there. Now, Rino, my first question for you, done some research on you over the past few days, and so you played both center and long snapper at Kellenberg High. Is that correct?
Yeah, my whole life I've played the offensive line. My freshman and sophomore years at Kellenberg, I played center and long snapper. My junior year, I had an injury in January and ended up having to sit out our spring season. And then this past fall, I ended up just long snapping, recovering from my injury. Just wanted to keep everything, stay as healthy as I possibly could for, the future.
Absolutely. So what led you to playing the long snapper position, and how did you get so good at it?
So it all started when I was going into, going into seventh grade. So I just finished sixth grade, and I went to FBU Top Gun in Rock Hill, South Carolina. At the time, I was about, 5'2", 110 pounds. And, I was going up versus, players in my grade class 2022 that were anywhere from 6 foot to 6'2", 285 to 290 pounds on the offense line. I was defensive lineman. I had no shot. Like, it didn't matter how hard I tried, and how hard I was going to work. Like, it just wasn't clicking for me at all. And it literally came to the point where a coach came up to my mom at the camp and said, listen, your son could be really great, but what if we reclassed him to 2023? My mom kind of laughed at the fact because, she really didn't want to do that. And I don't think anybody would really want to do that. So when we got home, I'm not going to lie, I was like a little upset because I've always wanted to play college football. That's been my goal. The NFL is a byproduct of whatever success that I'm going to have at the college level. Getting education through football has always been my number one priority, number one goal since I'm 5 years old. And, when we got home, I was really upset because, I kind of just got the crap beat out by all these like kids who were gigantic, but they were still in my grade. So I went home and I thought, how am I going to play college football? How am I going to take the next steps to get to where I need to be to have the opportunity to play Division I college football? And I tried everything. I thought about playing quarterback, thought about playing fullback, tight end. I remember, my grandpa, we'd go outside in my street, in my yard, and he'd throw me passes. I'd learn to throw a little bit. And it just, again, nothing was really clicking. I was still playing center for my team and everything. But, I knew after going to that camp that I really wasn't going to have an opportunity to compete at that next level. So it all came down to, it was an August night. I'm in my room right here where I am right now. And I literally looked up on YouTube how to long snap. And I'll never forget, the first video I watched was of Joe Cordana, who's the long snapper for the Patriots. It was a rather old video. I'd like to say at the time it was 2 to 3 years old. What does that make it now? 5, 6 years old. And I remember I watched, obviously you're not going to learn how to long snap from a 10-minute video, but then I became eager about it, so I continued to watch more videos. I started snapping on my own. And I was horrendous at first, treacherous. It was just embarrassing, really, really bad. But, I continued to work at it, continued to grind at it, to the best of my ability. And then for Christmas, I got a long snapping target, and I just continued to work. I finally convinced my mom to let me go to a long snapping camp. This how it happened in August. This was that April. So at this point, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 7 to 8 months later, I get to showcase my abilities at a camp. And, I ended up that camp to make the finals of that camp out of 55 kids, me being the youngest kid there. All you need was accuracy, right? So now I snap anywhere between 0.73 to 0.68 seconds. At the time, I snapped 1.2 seconds at 15 yards, which is crazy to think about how far I've come in 5, 6 years, but that's how slow I snap. But every one of my snaps went through the target, and I was in the finals with, people who, the one long snapper who was just at the East-West Shrine game a couple weeks ago, people who snap at now North Texas, Villanova, the one kid went to Michigan State. And, from there, I kind of became like a little egotistical from there. I was like, if I'm in 7th grade, I'm going to be this great long snapper. It's all just going to happen. Well, it all just didn't happen. I had to work at it consistently. And over the next couple of years, I continued to do better and better and better, work hard. And, now I'm here where I am today, and I'm truly blessed where I am today. But, doesn't mean that the work stops. That's the one thing I love about long snapping is that there's always room for improvement. There's always room to get better. You can never be perfect at it. So it always makes you want to strive to be better and better and better.
It's crazy. You just pull up a YouTube video one
Yeah.
night, watch how to long snap, and it leads to this, right?
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Pretty insane. Now, according to 24/7 Sports, I mean, I've watched film of you, and you're very good at what you do at long snapping. They have you as the 12th top football recruit in New York, 3rd ranked long snapper in the class of 2022, according to them. So you grew up with this obsession playing college football, and now it's becoming a reality. I mean, you verbally committed to Notre Dame on January 31st, something you probably never thought you would do. Signing your letter of intent on February 2nd, I believe that was. So, and I know you had originally committed to Buffalo. So just talk about that a little bit, and why Notre Dame.
Yeah. So, I was offered by Buffalo summer going into 10th grade. It's very early for a long snapper to get offered that early. I went to their camp. I had my opinion still to this day. I mean, now I'm 18 years old. I was like 15 at the time. That's still probably one of my best days snapping, I think, ever. And, they offered me after the camp. And I mean, I was in awe. I was like, holy crap, I'm going to get all these offers afterwards. I didn't get many offers till, a year or two later, but, for a very long time, my heart was set on Buffalo, and I'm not going to lie. I kind of had withdrawals sometimes. Then, you get right back into it. Then I was offered under Lance Leipold and his staff, who now they're at Kansas. And when they all left, I was like, holy crap, like, what the heck's going to happen now? At the time, that was my only offer. And now do I have no offers? Like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean for all this? And fortunately, special teams quality control coach Neil Herman ended up staying. And, the whole staff got hired. And I mean, I was on the phone with the head coach in a week saying that, my offer was still there and they wanted me to come out and visit. I mean, they were super first class people. And, when I committed there, like, I believe like that's where I wanted to be. That's where I wanted to be. I wanted to represent the state of New York at Buffalo, the flagship state of the flagship University of New York State. And that's how it was all season. I committed in, I think it was like July 31st or something like that. And all season I was set on that, even I'd say after going into 2022, I was all set on that. It all came down to, literally I'm coming home from a school event like late at night, and I got a DM on Twitter from Brian Mason. And, he told me to, give him a call. He's like, here's my cell number. I'm like, why is this guy calling me? He was special teams coordinator at Cincinnati. I'm really, really, really close with many of the specialists at Cincinnati who I've trained with at other camps and stuff. And I was like, why they need me, And he gives me a call and he lets me know, hey, just want to let you know I got the job at Notre Dame. Here's the situation, would you be interested in coming and competing for starting job at Notre Dame? I was like, what? Like, I didn't believe him at first. It was pretty crazy to even think about that for a second. And, obviously I had to take a couple of minutes to like breathe, like what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And, I went home, me and my mom talked about it. This had semi grades the next morning, obviously, Notre Dame being the academic institution it is, aside from their athletics, it took 2 weeks for all my stuff to get through admissions. Cause, they couldn't offer me unless they got a green light through, through admissions that I could get into school. And I ended up going to Hawaii knowing all this, but still no offer because nothing had went through. And it was Saturday morning in Hawaii, afternoon stateside. And I got a call from Coach Mason saying that, everything went through. Would you be interested in visiting this weekend? And I was like, 100%, definitely. So now I'm going on this. I'm playing this game on national television and going on this 11-hour plane ride home. Knowing that I might end up going here. And the biggest thing with committing to Notre Dame for me was that I didn't want to commit there until I saw it, until I was there, until I had the conversation I wanted to have with the decision makers. Because if I would have made it as soon as they offered me before I came there, if I would just committed then and I would have gone there and hated it, I would have been regretting my decision forever. That's my biggest thing. I didn't want to just commit and then there was nothing, and then I didn't like it or something. But I went there. It was everything I expected it to be, everything I hoped for. After talking to Coach Freeman, Coach Mason, it was everything I could imagine in a university. And, I ended up committing committing on the spot, announced my commitment publicly a couple days later. And then I was a part of Notre Dame football, which is just incredible opportunity. And just overall, I couldn't ask for anything else in a university to attend for the next 4 to 5 years.
And that's a crazy path if you think about it. You get this call while you're playing in the Polynesian Bowl, correct?
Yes.
And just out of nowhere, it's Brian Mason, who was also an assistant with Marcus Freeman at Cincinnati.
Yes.
And now they're together with Freeman being the head coach, Mason, the special teams coordinator, and you got Tommy Rees there as the OC staying. I know Michael Vincent is there. He's a fifth-year senior long snapper. Have you gotten to talk to him at all?
Yeah, actually, on my visit, I ended up going out to look. We went out to lunch. Me, my mom, Coach Mason, Michael, and Blake Groupie, their new transfer kicker. Blake, who I've known for 4 years now, really close with him through training and all things of sorts. Michael, it's funny, when I was a freshman in high school, he was a coach at a camp in Las Vegas that I attended, the Rubio long snapping. And I remember talking to him back then. And I'll be honest with you, I really haven't talked to him much over the years. I've gotten to see him rise and take his path to where he is today.
Right.
But when they sold me the opportunity, learn from him for a year and then, have the opportunity to earn the job. That was the biggest thing they sold to me. You're not handed anything, but that's college football. That's the multi-billion-dollar business that is. The best players play, and you have to earn your spot on the field. So the opportunity to learn from him, learn from somebody who, has done it for the past couple of years, going to do it for one more year, and is really great at what he does. And more importantly, he's a leader. That's what really, really, what I've been telling everybody is that if this was a different long snapper who I didn't think that, I could trust as a person and learn from, and he was going to be an asshole, right?
Right.
I wouldn't have gone to Notre Dame. I don't think, or I wouldn't have gone to whatever school that situation was at. Mike's a great dude. He's really energy. He has this really cool energy to him, and, I'm excited to learn from him. I'm excited to, pick his mindset, learn about the various different things that he does on a daily basis. And more importantly, just to, get ready to play at the level that Notre Dame plays at, with the whole entire strength staff, Coach Bayless and everybody, and, go through summer workouts, winter workouts, go through this whole entire training program. So I know that, once Michael leaves in January, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go all steam ahead and try to win the job there.
Without getting too much into hypotheticals here, Reno, you're redshirting this year, correct? Is that the plan, or?
Yeah, I mean, most likely.
Okay.
Obviously, it's anything could happen. That's the situation that we're kind of looking at. Nothing set in stone, 1,000%, but that's what we're looking at. And that was something that I'm kind of okay with because as I was saying, you're learning from somebody who has done it for all these years, and is great at what he does and is a good person as well. So to learn from him, that's the really cool thing that I like about the whole entire special teams room at Notre Dame. You have Michael Vincent, 5th-year senior, Blake Groupie, the new transfer, who's 6th-year senior, John Sott, who's an incoming punter transfer, right? He's a 4th-year, 5th-year, he's a senior, whatever he is, right? All that experience. And you have me coming in with Zach Yoakum, who's an incoming kicker, Bryce McPherson, someone I'm really close with, one of the best punters in the country. And then you have Josh Bryan, who's also a freshman, the other kicker who's a freshman, then Alex Peitsch, who's a sophomore long snapper. junior long snapper. So you have 4 people who have been in this program for a pretty solid long time. Then you have people coming up. So it's the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to collaborate overall, which I'm really excited to be a part of. Not just us as players, but then you look at Coach Mason is one of the best, has a track record of having some of the best special teams units in college football. And when you bring together, the older side of it, the younger side of it, and then put Coach Mason in the middle of all of that, for all of us to collaborate and, work on, being one of the best units in college football. I mean, it's very hard to find opportunities like that at the FBS level, and I'm super stoked.
100%. You mentioned all those names that heading into Notre Dame this season are part of the number 1 2022 special teams recruiting class in the nation.
Yeah.
Rino, how does it feel to be a part of that, knowing that you're part of the number 1 recruiting class?
It's awesome. It's a really cool feeling. But at the end of the day, that stuff's cool. But it's time for us to prove it. It's time for us to prove it. You kind of look at where the biggest time you see is when Super Bowl comes around. They put like how many players in the Super Bowl were ranked, how many players in the Super Bowl weren't ranked. You know what I mean? And like a lot of people prove their rankings right. A lot of people prove their rankings wrong. So, our goal, we're not going to go around, walk in there and be like, yeah, we have the best special teams recruiting class in college football. No, we're going in there, putting our heads down. We're ready to work. We're ready to grind every single day to prove that. So that way, 4 to 5 years when we all graduate, we could all sit back, laugh, and say, hey, we proved them right. Hopefully, we're gonna work our butts off to, prove them right. It's a pretty cool opportunity and really awesome to be a part of it. But now it's time to prove it.
Now, you mentioned Rubio's long snapping before. You've also attended other long snapping kicking camps like Cole's Kicking and the Hammer Kicking Academy. What did you take from those camps, and what would you say is your biggest strength currently as a long snapper?
You take different things from every camp. Rubio, Coles, and HK Hammer Kick Academy.
Yep.
Or all 3 of them are competition camps and also have instruction towards them. Biggest thing I've taken away from Rubio and Coles is that, it's going to a long snapping camp. It's very similar to a golf tournament, I like to say. There's no teams. This isn't 7-on-7. This isn't like team tackle football when you're younger. This is, like a golf tournament. It's every man for themselves, so mindset, number 1, like having, like, for example, like this past summer, I won the Coles National Scholarship Camp charting out of over 200 long snappers. So to be able to do that, I have to be able to walk in front of, over 200 other long snappers and be like, and say to myself, not say it out loud, obviously, kind of have that quiet confidence, say, okay, like I could beat all these people. Like I'm the best. I just have to believe it. And I have to put that all my hard work into fruition. So I'd say mindset, number 1, and number 2, just taking things from other long snappers. I talked about Rubio and Coles with HK, my coach Adam Tanowski. We do a thing we call it honors long snapping, and we take 10. It's about 15 of us, 15 of the top 25, 30 long snappers in the country. And every other week we have Zoom calls and we go over film. Every week it's different type of film, field goal snaps, punt snaps, snapping and releasing, snapping and blocking. We're all able to work on different things. And we sit on Zoom for an hour and a half, 2 hours and watch each other's film every other week. And then, we all collaborate and we all come together and we're all able to take different things from other people, because like if you were a coach, right, and me and you were just sitting down watching my film, like you're going to see things, I'm going to see things. Maybe there are things that neither of us see. And that's the thing, that when you have 14 other people who, you're all in this together, right, it's a really cool opportunity that I've able to take away from HK is, the opportunity to learn from other people and take criticism of all different sorts, good, bad, better, or worse, from all different people. So if there's 2 main things I would say it's, having like, I want to say like that killer mindset, to go in and, compete as I'm going to have to do, going to college and compete, to be the starter. And then on top of that, the opportunity to take criticism of all different sorts. And to touch upon your question, one of my strengths as a long snapper, I'd say, is my mindset, right, which I've taken away from every single camp, once the COVID-19 pandemic started around, so that I was like spring of my sophomore year, I was a good long snapper. I wasn't the best. I was good. I was really good. I was always like, I was being in the finals, but like I really would never win anything, So over that whole course, I'd go on the phone every day with Adam Tanowski, the owner of Hammer Kicking Academy, and we would have conversations day after day after day about like, what do I have to do to be the best long snapper in the country? Like my mindset, like what do I have to believe? And what I came down to is that like whatever room I walk into, whether, I'm looking head over heels over somebody, like all the way up at them or looking down at them, I have to mentally believe that I'm the best long snapper in the country in every single room that I walk into. And if I'm able to, believe that to myself, right, then, you're going to be unbeatable. And even when you lose, you're going to be able to handle losses just as well because, you still have that mindset that you are the best. And literally, there have been times at these competitions, obviously, I'm not going to go in there in a game on NBC and be like, I'm the best, I'm the best. Like I literally say it out loud, just to like remind myself because, when we're in these pressure situations, that's the best part about being a specialist. There's no, my favorite saying is quarterback, there's 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's the player of the game. If there were 7 good snaps and 2 bad snaps, I'm fired. So that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, being able to have that killer mindset. And I'd say my mindset to me is what makes me the snapper I am today, because at the end of the day, everybody, I'd say over 50% of the best long snappers in the country, right? Everybody has the ability to be the best. It's, can you handle the pressure in the moment to be the best?
If a long snapper is too much, then that's probably not a good thing.
Not a good thing. Not a good thing. Yeah, like let me tell you the truth. All this attention that I've been getting since I've committed, it's really not like normal to me. Like I kind of like to kind of stay in the shadows. Obviously all my teammates will know who I am, but it's obviously a lot different. A lot different being out there. But hopefully you don't hear my name too much over these next 4 to 5 years. And we'll leave it at that. You'll hear my name on senior day, and we'll call it at that.
Now, I mean, I've seen you do some like 30-yard snaps on film while I was watching over this past week, and I was very, very impressed. I got to work with a guy by the name of Jake Carlock, who's also from.
Oh, okay, yeah. I do strength training with Jake Carlock 2 days a week.
Really?
In Babylon, yeah.
Oh, wow. That I did not know. That I did not have planned for the interview, by the way, but that's an interesting point. Yeah, I mean,
great dude. Great dude.
Yeah, I went to Post, so I was working his football games, and
that's awesome.
You talk about like the longevity of the long snapping position, whether it's in college or, if long snappers make it to the NFL, the longevity of that position is longer than like 99% of positions, right? You could argue kicker and punter and long snapper, the 3, longest tenured positions when it comes to
100%.
Professional sports. So, and that's why I think when you perfect your craft on something like a special position like this, it doesn't go as noticed by the public, which is why I personally like to focus on those under the radar type of positions. Because me, myself, being an under the radar guy, I think it's important to point those out. And
definitely,
that's why 100%. I'm very appreciative of recruits like you who, have perfected their or striving towards doing that. I know you talked about the campus a little bit, the Notre Dame campus. What's the first thing that catches your eye when you walk on that campus and your recruiting trip?
The first thing that caught my eye was our flight got delayed by like 3 hours going from Detroit to South Bend. Yeah, it was a long night. We got in at like 2 a.m. and then our visit was at 10. Anyway, driving in, as soon as you make that turn onto campus, you see the gold dome of the chapel. And I mean, when I saw that, I was just like, holy crap. Like that, like this place is awesome. And I wouldn't say if it's almost like one thing about the campus, I mean, this past summer, I went on the whole recruiting trail, seen like all beautiful campuses and all different sorts of things or such, different things that each school has cool about themselves. But the coolest part about Notre Dame is just, you see the tradition everywhere you walk. You see the tradition of academics, athletics, and faith which is just absolutely incredible when you just to think about all of that as a whole. That was the number one thing for me. As soon as we made that turn onto campus, like we saw that Golden Dome, we were like, holy crap, like we're at Notre Dame. This is awesome. You see the movie Rudy, and when you see everything in person, it's pretty awesome, pretty just surreal.
An independent football university like Notre Dame, big around its faith and its morals, and you're going to be sharing the same locker rooms that guys like Joe Montana did, Jerome Bettis, Kyle Rudolph, guys like that who have really put a staple on this program for younger players like you to come in and have this opportunity. And you mentioned football and faith, how they both play a huge role in your life. What's the commonality between the two for you? Because my best friend growing up played college football as well, and whenever I would stay over with him for the weekend, you would see that quote in his room: through all things, anything is possible with Christ, something along those lines that, just really speaks volumes to what it means to play football and have the faith as well while playing.
100%. I mean, the biggest thing between faith and football for me is that they're so contrary to each other. They both, blend so well. And I'd say my faith has been such a stronghold for me throughout my whole football career because of all the adversity I have to face. Whether it was my injury this past fall or, losing my father in second grade, having to, walk around with that chip on my shoulder, having to prove people wrong at every single sense of my life, having, my faith with me throughout all of this, right? And being able to see like all the little glimpses and all the different signs of my faith, wherever I go. And my favorite story I like to tell is this past summer, I had the blessing to be a part of the Marinus Life Conference. Normally it's a week-long event in Texas where Marinus schools from across the country all take like a group of 20 to 25 students, rising seniors, and we all get to like interact. Instead, due to COVID this year, it was over Zoom. So we were on Zoom with schools from California, Hawaii, Texas, Florida, Ohio. And over a 5-day span, we did everything at Kellenberg. And, it was all about, the traditions of the Marinists and how to learn different ways to spread our faith through really cool, fun ways, right? And bring it into the world. Anyway, I go through this whole entire week where I'll tell you the truth. I've always believed in God and my faith, but going to a Mariners for the last 3 years at the time, I really never felt like a special devotion to the Blessed Mother Mary. And I was kind of like, and leaving that week, it kind of sparked me. Anyway, as soon as that week was over, our conference ended at 5. We drove through the night, 5 p.m. and got to Gatlinburg, Tennessee at 10 a.m. for the Coles National Scholarship Camp. And as I said before, I ended up winning that camp over 200 kids and the charting portion after the first day. And going into the competition day, right down the road from our church, right down the road from our hotel was the Church of Mary. And this is after I'm at the Marinus Life Conference all week, which I just thought was incredible. And I ended up going to church with one of my friends who's a kicker. And before the mass, they took an extra collection for their new Marinus Life Center at the church that they was being in construction right next door, which I just thought was incredible. It's able to show that, God is present everywhere. And, just like we talked about before, me having the opportunity to where not only attend a Catholic school, but attend a Catholic school that just happens to have some of the best football in all of the United States of America. Everything has signs, everything happens for a reason. That's something I'm a huge believer of. And I've been a huge believer of throughout my whole entire life, whether it was, my injury a year ago or, my father passing away, all these different things happen for a reason. And, we're all faced with adversity for different reasons. And, everything I've had to overcome throughout my whole football career, is all for a reason. It's led me here. And that's because of my faith. And, without my faith and without the support of my family, I'm not where I am today.
That's something you should be very proud of, the adversity that, you've gone through as an individual, not just on the field, but off the field as well, Reno. I have two more questions for you. One is your impressions on Marcus Freeman. Now, I know you touched upon him a little bit before, but you met him. What was he like? Because obviously you're new to the whole university and team itself, but Freeman he was with the team last year as the DC. He's taken on a brand spanking new role.
Brand spanking new role. That was another really cool thing that I don't think they really tried to sell me, but I kind of was able to grasp onto, as obviously, Coach Mason being new as well. This, when I met with Coach Freeman, I talked to him for me and my mom. We sat down as always for like 10 to 15 minutes. And I mean, number one thing that caught my eye is that, first of all, I'm a long snapper at the end of the day. I'm not a 5-star quarterback. I'm not a 5-star wide receiver. I'm a long snapper, right? And, not many head coaches took the time to, sit down with me and, have a conversation with me and treat me like, a normal recruit. And, he did. He sat down with me. We had a great conversation. And number one thing that stood out to me was that whole majority of that conversation was about his family, talking about his family, and then asked about my family and my siblings, which was really cool. And, the biggest thing when I was talking to him was that when you listen to him talk, right, it's hard not to believe every single word that he says. Everything that comes out of his mouth has a purpose to it, and he has this plan for Notre Dame. And now I know I said it before, but I didn't really finish on it. Coach Freeman being in this new position, and Coach Mason being brand new to this university, such a newish staff, with people coming from the old staff and new people coming in, they're going on this new journey and trying to prove themselves. And I'm going on this new journey to try to prove myself. Why don't we just do this thing together and bring Notre Dame back to where it continue Notre Dame on that upscale to where it needs to be, which was just something that, I felt was such a great opportunity. So something that I couldn't pass up on. So, I mean, I'm so excited to play for Coach Freeman. Incredible man, incredible person, and incredible football coach. I'm ready to, be pushed by him and his staff to be where I need to be the best of my ability on and off the field as a person and as a football player. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Absolutely. And that's all spectacular, getting to know Coach Freeman and his staff there. And the one last question I have, it wasn't planned, but I see the Eli Manning jersey in the background there, Reno.
I'll kind of give you a show. It goes JPP,
yep,
OBJ, Rino Monteforte, Eli Manning.
I was going to ask, is that Blake or Reno? And I'm like, oh, wow.
It's Rino Monteforte. I'm a diehard Giant fan.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
I love the Giants, man. I mean, when Eli Manning retired a couple of years ago, my mom has this hilarious video of when they were playing the Dolphins and he took his last step. I just cried. Like, yeah, I just broke out into tears. Because, I'm born December 26, 2003. Eli's drafted in April 2003, 2004, excuse me. Right. And, I grew up my whole life part of, as a New York Giant fan with him as our quarterback, and that's why these past couple of years it's been hard to, see other you see, Daniel Jones be the quarterback, and, he's we got a lot of work to do, obviously.
Yeah.
But, I'm hoping it all works out for them. But if there's any positives to the Giants, it's their special teams, if we're being real. Graham Gano and Casey Kreider are incredible, just incredible specialists. If there's any little bit of consistency, you see the amount of field goals that he takes and the percentage that he makes is up there. Is one, and if we're talking in tier 1, 2, and 3, top tier in the NFL.
And the reason why I bring that up, Diassi also retired with Eli Manning, long snapper for years, and then
I should have my Diassi jersey out, man.
Oh yeah. I know you weren't alive for this, but 2002, we don't talk about that Giants playoff game against the 49ers with Trey Jenkins.
with the fake field goal versus the 49ers.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that.
That's why the long snapper position is so important, because there's plays like that. Whether if there's an injury or something at the position, you need a reliable long snapper to be ready, and it goes unnoticed. And I think with you, Reno, heading to Notre Dame, I think it's going to be very, very exciting to see how you perform out there on the field. And the team around you and the specialists that you'll be working with to see, what kind of tips and tricks you learn from them and what you can teach them as well. Not just about football, but about faith as well. So I
Yes,
think that's why.
that was just touch up. That was one of the coolest things that I thought. You go on all these different visits, talk to all these different people in recruiting, player personnel, all these different things, all these other schools. I had, a recruiting person take me around and tour me around campus on the campus tour, and this guy was trying to sell me on the faith life at the school, which that's not what those guys normally do. They're telling you about this is where the biggest parties are. This is where the hottest girls are. This is where the football team goes after the game, right? This is where you're going to get all your food, all these different things. He was talking about the faith life and all the different ministry things that are available to even athletes as well. I mean, to know that Notre Dame has people like that in their recruiting department, it just shows, that this is more than just football. It's a family. Yes, I mean, Notre Dame Football Plan and NBC. I mean, it's a business. It's a straight up business. But to show there's that other side to it, right? And they have people in their office that care about that other side. Super important. Super important. It just shows that they are so many great people in that building. And I've been so blessed at Kellenberg, playing for the Long Island Spartans, playing for the North Babylon Bulldogs, and here in my home, I've always been surrounded by so many great people, who look out for me in the best of ways. Now I'm going to be surrounded by people who are going to be looking out for me in the best of ways, which is super, super, super important.
100%. You couldn't have said that any better, Reno. And now looking ahead towards the first game of the 2022 season against the Ohio State Buckeyes. I know that must be very
exciting.
exciting.
It's pretty funny. My roommate at the Polynesian Bowl is the kicker who's actually going to Ohio State.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so all week we were kind of talking about that. I mean, I'm ready to roll. I mean, talk about that. That's how you could kick off your college career in one way. If we're saying, that there's you could either do it against like an FCS opponent at a different school, or you go to 100,000+ fans. It doesn't get any bigger and better than that. Looking forward to it. Exciting opportunities. That you look at our whole entire schedule. So many great opportunities to prove ourselves as great teams. And real looking forward to it. I mean, not many teams can say that they're playing Clemson, Ohio State in the same year on top of that. And then, you throw BYU in there for the Shamrock Series as well. They're a great team as well. So many great opportunities versus great teams who win football games consistently. We do what we're supposed to do. Possibilities are endless.
Absolutely. Reno, anything you want to add here before we wrap this one up?
Nothing, man. I'm super excited to get out to South Bend June 11th to report and, be a part of Irish football. Just work hard and get this thing going. Go Irish.
Absolutely, folks. This was Rino Monteforte, one of Notre Dame's newest recruits. And folks, if you want more content, make sure to go check us out on all of our social media platforms below on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and our YouTube channel at Review and Preview Sports. Reno, thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.